I'm going to discuss a method of differentiation that can be used in almost any classroom. I currently use it in a technology classroom, but I have also used it for teaching language arts, reading, and science. This method is based upon the growth model. It allows for students to make a lot of choices and requires the teacher to release some of their control. When I was in school, we sat in classrooms arranged in rows. We were subjected to the sit and get method of teaching and the regurgitation method of testing. Not usually very exciting. I was always daydreaming and could never stay focused on the lesson, but I always did fine on tests. Clearly not a terribly challenging education. Today kids have access to a lot more information quickly. They are curious and interested in the world and literally have the world at their fingertips. They have interests that they want to pursue. If they can use these interests to guide their own learning, they're going to be more invested. Teachers still need to support their students, but their role needs to shift from that of the expert to that of a mentor.
A great way to improve student interest in learning is by allowing the student to make decisions about what they are doing in class. Depending on the circumstances and the students, they can be given plenty of latitude. Maybe they choose a topic for a project, or they just choose the product. In some cases, they could be allowed to choose both topic and product.
One possibility within this model is to ask all the students to create the same type of product, like a PowerPoint, but they get to choose the topic. Allowing them to explore a topic they enjoy, but using that knowledge in an authentic setting will give them the motivation to learn the new software, or if they already know the software, they can be mentors to the other students. Another possibility would be to provide the students with a topic, but allow them to select what project they're going to create to share their learning. They might be asked to make an anti-bullying message, but they could then make a PowerPoint or a TV commercial, a podcast, a song. They're only limited by their skill set or what it is that they want to try. Ultimately, we want the student to be deciding on both the topic and the task to create something meaningful for themselves. Students will interact with their teacher, parents, the technology itself, and can incorporate an outreach to the community as they learn about their topic and build their project. As an example, I have a student, Lauren, and she's very interested in photography. For her independent project, Lauren wanted to create a website to showcase her photographs. She and her parents came up with a contract, and she has already created her website with a gallery to highlight her photography. She has created a Twitter account to promote her work, and she has written emails to a number of professional photographers asking them to critique her work. Putting work out there and inviting criticism is hard for anyone, but this 13-year-old girl has already accomplished more than many of us will accomplish ever. Regardless of where her photography takes her, her hard work has resulted in a victory that belongs completely to her. As her teacher, I just had to ensure that she was safe and offer support. Kids are going to gravitate towards the things that they're already good at. It can be frustrating to work on things that you're not good at, but we need to encourage the kids to accept that frustration as growth, not failure. It can be very difficult to convince a student that it's okay to not be good at something, but if you keep at it, eventually you improve, and that growth is the whole point. Once the student embraces the idea that growth is the most important part of their efforts, they begin to see that they grow less at what they're already good at, but grow quickly at new skills. Allowing students to evaluate their own success based on their improvement and accomplishing goals they have set for themselves gives them ownership of their education.
As a teacher, this model is exciting, but it can be intimidating. When in full swing, a classroom full of kids could have 30 kids doing 30 different projects all going at the same time. It sounds overwhelming to have so much going on in one classroom, but as you build your skills in this area, you find that the focus shifts from the teacher to the student.
When you start teaching this way, it's a good idea to start with a menu of choices for the students that include activities that you are already familiar with and reasonably good at. Then you can focus on the students and not on figuring out how to make complex processes work. You will quickly build confidence as you learn how to manage the learning environment and develop resources for the students to use independently.
Over time, you will discover new and exciting tools that you want your students to have access to. Adding these new tools one at a time and allowing yourself to see how the kids interact with them will make things easier than adding several at once. It also makes it easier to find resources or develop your own resources for the students to promote their independent work.
When you run your class this way, the students are going to ask you if you can add a tool that they really enjoy and want you to add to the menu. Initially, you have to keep that in check. Some of the suggestions are great, but others not so much. Collect those suggestions to evaluate later, and add the ones you like. Eventually, you'll reach the point where when the kids ask, you're able to deal with it without missing a beat. In this process, you are giving over control of the students' learning to the students themselves. You're providing the tools and resources, but they are determining where they need to grow, what tools they need to use, and how they want to reach their own goals. There's a lot of groundwork, and you're going to have to be willing to let go of that control. But in the long run, it makes for a very rich learning environment. This method meets the student, any student, at the level they join your class and provides them with the means to build their skills. Whether they reach their benchmarks or not, they can see that they are improving, and that really motivates them. People need to be lifelong learners. Students who understand the growth model are lifelong learners. With so much focus on high-stakes testing and student achievement, it is important that students have an understanding that success is more than a test score. Their education belongs to them, and they need to acquire the skills to advance their own knowledge and their own skills. Our classroom should offer a foundation on which they can build these skills. Learning should not be about grades. It should be about reaching goals and acquiring new skills and knowledge. These concepts will enable the students to become lifelong learners and give them the capacity to excel and grow in whatever they choose to pursue in their future. Giving people control over their growth and encouraging them to take chances will lead them towards success. To quote Thomas Edison when asked how he felt about failing 1,000 times in his effort to make a viable incandescent light bulb, he said, "I have not failed 1,000 times. I have proven 1,000 ways that will not work." Success is a journey, not a destination. The pathway is not paved with failure. It is paved with goals and growth.